Hey everybody, it's Aidan here once again, and welcome back to some Assetto Corsa as it's time for another mod review. Now what we have here is the MSF Williams FW26, the car that Williams entered into the 2004 Formula 1 World Championship. Now as a bit of history, Williams had finished 2003 rather strongly, and Montoya being penalised for being punted by Barrichello Indy gifted the title to Ferrari. Yeah, it didn't make any sense then, it still doesn't make sense now. And they were going into 2004 as one of the favourites to win the title, with the ever-fast Montoya being the one to bring the title back to Oxfordshire, provided that nobody broke his head.
Yeah, you broke my head, man. What the fuck you doing? You broke my head.
Yeah, he's Mexican now. Well, the car was pretty damn quick in testing, but the problem was the car was very hit and miss. When it worked, it was brilliant, and when it didn't work, it didn't. And the car was outpaced by the BAR Hondas and the Renaults of the time, and the season was dominated by Ferrari. As a result, Williams found itself fighting more with Toyota, Sauber and Jordan rather than people like McLaren and Ferrari. And Montoya struggled, and Ralf Schumacher's broken back at Indianapolis didn't help matters, and the replacements in Antonio Pizzonia and Marc Genet weren't exactly world beaters. And this was actually the final car designed by Williams' long-standing technical director, Patrick Head. So with the history over with, we've got to look at the technical specifications. This is a car from 2004, so we've got a 3-litre, naturally aspirated, mid-mounted V10 engine, which all words you don't tend to hear these days, and that's bolted to a carbon and epoxy composite chassis. We've got 7 gears to flick through, we're fueled by Petrobras Jungle Juice, Castrol Lube, Michelin tyres, and the engine made by BMW, which was regarded as probably being the most powerful engine of the time. And I guess I need to address the elephant in the room here. That nose cone. Yeah. The theory is that walrus nose design should have allowed more airflow under the car, which is something that Lotus tried to copy in 2014, but it didn't work. We've also got twin keel suspension setup. Sauber pioneered the design, and McLaren and Jordan had their own versions, and it took Williams until Hungary to realise that nose cone and that design was shit, and they had to introduce a more conventional nose setup that allowed them to be more competitive, and that did actually work. And it was with that post-Hungary nose that Montoya set the fastest average lap speed around Monza in Formula 1 history, which on a technicality makes this the fastest Formula 1 car ever built. And it's a Williams. Alright, give me something to shout about at least, because I'm not singing about anything this season. So anyway, let's take a look at the model that MSF has given us here, and it looks great. Let me just pop my iPad down there. We've got a car that looks very much like the car that took part in that season, and this has been painted by the guy from ASR Formula, Alessandro Michiali or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce the names, don't speak Italian in the slightest, studied Spanish in school. But we can look around the back of the diffuser, and we can move back round, zoom in and stuff. I'll turn the shadows right down so that explains all the blurriness. But I mean, no blur even with my textures, not even on ultra. Everything's running on high. All the sponsors, and we can look at this nose in detail. As we can see, the air would shoot underneath to this bit in the middle and then through the diffuser, and that's why Formula 1 cars ended up with that higher nose design, because the way of thinking was we build a front wing, which you can see here looks simplistic compared to what they have today. Instead of having the front and rear wing producing all the downforce, what we'll do is we'll have a simple front wing that produces downforce but has very, very, very low drag, and then we'll just fire the air underneath through the under tray into the diffuser and out the back, and we'll use that to produce the downforce as well. And we've got the little aerodynamic deflectors on top of the side pods there to try and fire some more air at higher speed over the rear wing. All looks very, very well textured. Zooming in on the tyres, let's see all the detail there. Okay, a little bit of texture, sort of pixelation on that Williams F1 logo. We can see the Senna logo on the front wing, but when you're driving around, you're going to be seeing it from like here, and it looks fine. So we don't need to really get too concerned with anything. BMW power, zoom in right on the diffuser here. Looks great. It's absolutely fantastic. The two exhausts, and we've got this sort of bridge thing, which probably was used to try and deflect those exhaust gases onto the rear wing. It's sort of a early blown diffuser type of thing. But I mean, looking at it from this angle, it's probably one of the nicest Williams ever built, and then we get to that monstrosity on the front. But anyway, let's have a look on the inside. Oh, I've never noticed the Senna logo on the side pod. Usually it's on the front wing. But on the inside, very simplistic steering wheel compared to what Formula 1 drivers use today. And we can move down. We've got the seat belts. We've got some padding on the inside to help, you know, JPM and Ralf Schumacher not get their ribs bruised and things like that. And it's a steering wheel. It just does what it's designed to do. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take this car to Barcelona in a sort of a new method of testing this mod out. Usually it's my first laps ever in a car when I do these, so it's my initial impressions and a review at the same time. But I actually spent some time in the car yesterday to get some ideas of how the car feels and to actually give a proper review with a little bit more detail. So hopefully that comes out. We're going to take it to Barcelona and see what kind of lap times we can do and how it feels, and does it give an impression as to what these cars were actually like. So let's get to Barcelona and go and have some fun. Okay then, so here we are in the pit lane at Barcelona, getting ready to go for a test session. But before we do, let's have a quick look at the setup screen. So we have fully adjustable gears, soft and hard compound for the tyres, pretty simple stuff. Fuel, I've got nothing in the tank right now, just so it's nice and quiet so I can tell you what's going on, or I can bump it all the way up to 150 litres. Would never run that much in a race because they would just smack some fuel back in halfway through the race. Electronics, well, this is real Formula 1 with real drivers, so we've got traction control to keep us on the track. We've got some aero adjustments in our front and rear wing, pretty simple stuff. Then we've got our camber, our dampers, our drivetrain, generic stuff like the brake balance and brake power and things like that. Then we've got suspensions, advanced suspensions, and pit stops. So I'm going to put about 25 litres worth of fuel into the car. And let's go for a drive. This thing doesn't half accelerate. We're also running the MotoGP track, which is what they would have run in 2004. And I'm also running my own custom setup for a change, instead of just going in blind on default. Hopefully so I can give you some better feedback on how the car handles and how it functions when I've got it to how I like it, and how long it took me to get it how I like it. Downshift protection kicking in already because I'm being too aggressive on downshifts. But the brakes are incredibly powerful, and just look how it's accelerating. Decent amount of turning. Chuck it into turn 9. And now we've got a different turn 10. Changes gear very quickly, I think too quickly. Final 2 corners. A little bit of a lift because the tyres aren't to temperature. On the ragged edge through the final corner, felt the back end wanting to go, but so high-speed corner stability, not particularly good, but maybe that's just me, seeing as it feels so planted through turn 9 and through here. But I'm getting on better with this than I did with the Ferrari that I tested the other day. Second gear. Grip-wise, it feels like I'd expect one of these cars to handle. Bit too fast into there. It's in the wrong gear. Probably a way of rigging that so I can take it flat, but I'm in 117s anyway. Brakes feel a little bit OP to me, but when the car's going this quick, you need to get it to stop quickly. On 16.6. Let's go for one more lap then. And I can offer my final thoughts, but once the tyres are warmed up, it's very good to drive. MSF are working on the physics, so the flaws I'm finding will be fixed. Ah, no. Oh, no. Oh, what happened there? Alright then. Let's take it back into showroom view. And final thoughts. So then, what do I have to say about this car? Well, I think it's an absolutely great starting point with a few things that need ironing out that I know MSF are aware of. And the grip feels like what I expect to feel from these kinds of cars, but the straight line speed and acceleration needs a bit of balancing, and the brakes are a little OP as well. But after all that, it's still more realistic than the R Factor 2 car by MatCore is. But, you know, like all things, there's going to be things wrong, and you can't expect things to be perfect off the bat. Because if you spend too much time with it, you get used to it. So you end up thinking that that's normal. So if you hand things over to the community to provide feedback and offer pointers on how to make it better, then it makes them feel more involved. And I used to do it all the time when I was recording music, because I became so used to it, I had to give it to somebody else to get a second opinion. And it's a little bit sad that some people have been dismissing it as terrible without any constructive feedback in places because they're expecting it to be perfect immediately. So if you are one of these, I have to have a super duper 100% realistic interpretation of a car to have any fun in any sim racing game, you know, those kinds of people, then I'd say avoid it because you're going to hate it. But if you want a nostalgia trip to the so-called glory days of Formula 1, or you're a Williams fan like myself that just wants to go out and have fun and have a bit of a laugh, go for it. You know, in its current state, it's still a lot of fun to see how low you can get the lap times. And when it comes to lapping, the only thing you should concern yourself with is the times that other people are doing, not how close you are to, you know, JP's real-life times. I mean, yes, it goes like shit off a shovel. Sure, the sounds aren't 100% realistic, and yes, it's faster in a straight line than Halley's Comet, and it stops on a sixpence. But is it fun? Yes. And that's the main bit. And that's what I'm here for. Fun. This is turning into hot laps and chat now, isn't it? But like I say, great start, and updates are coming. So we will have the pre-Hungary version with this monstrosity on the front, and we'll have the one that looks more like, you know, a Formula 1 car, in inverted commas, should look like. But, you know, once the balanced version comes out, we'll be trying to hit Montoya's lap record around Monza, which will be a lot of fun. So I think that's everything I needed to cover, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this mod, and I hope it brings you hours of fun. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. I mean, I don't know if it actually does. I mean, it strokes my ego a bit, but every YouTuber says that it helps, so it must help. And if you're a new viewer, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I'm almost at 666 subscribers, so let's get that to the number of the beast. And once again, thank you for being here. I've been Adam Milne, and I'll see you all again on Friday for another video. Goodbye.